Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Promise Odera Onu, and in today's topic, we're looking at infrastructure and also the maintenance culture of infrastructure. What should be the best practices when it comes to infrastructure and the maintenance culture of existing infrastructure? As far as the government of the day is concerned, we always look at Nigeria. We know Nigeria has a large infrastructure deficit. So how do we maintain the existing ones and then build new infrastructure? In earlier videos, I've established that APC government, Buhari's government, have borrowed 63 trillion. I think this is both state and federal level. Um, and then if you look at what they've spent a chunk of the money on, most of the money, apart from servicing other debts or paying salaries, is infrastructure. Um, the second Niger Bridge. There's also a bridge in River Benue, a bridge in Nasarawa that connects Nasarawa to somewhere called Loco, if I'm not mistaken. Um, that bridge was also built. Then most of governors in Nigeria at least built one flyover in their state, most of them. I know Delta State built a flyover, Wike built a lot of flyovers, Enugu State built a flyover. So it seems like one of the key thing for these past 7 years was flyovers everywhere. Now, what is the economic value of flyovers? You know, I don't know how quickly people make benefits from flyovers, so to speak. Flyovers just ease congestions in the city and allows people to get from point A to point B without any much delay. But when you are building those flyovers, you cause congestion as well. But then it's a welcome development to build flyovers. It's part of infrastructure. But what exactly is the kind of infrastructure that we need? We need roads, we need buildings, we need power supplies. Um, but I think the most of them is power supply. We need generation of electricity and distribution of electricity. That is where, or the kind of infrastructure we're supposed to be spending a lot of money on. During the last 7 years or so, our power grid has collapsed a lot of times under the Buhari's watch. There's been national blackouts in places that has not happened before, and these are poor infrastructure, And another key thing is the maintenances of those existing infrastructure, because most governments tend to come in, abandon whatever their predecessor have done, and then start new projects to claim that this is what they've achieved. But government is meant to be a continuum. So you're supposed to continue, what the last government did, instead of just rushing off to create a new project. You're supposed to continue and complete whatever project has already been started. I.e., is a good example is the second Niger Bridge. It wasn't Buhari that started it. It's been there for so many years, but it was Buhari that completed it. But if you look at infrastructures, I think one other good one is things like Ibom Air that was built in Akwa Ibom. Those are things that can help push the economy. Those are things that can, provide or yield benefits like immediately or faster to the economy of the state. People can start using that airport. Another good example is the new airport in Abakaliki in Ebony State that David Umahi built. Very beautiful edifice. And we're hearing that very soon it will become operational. Those kind of things open up the states and, uh, have good economic value. So, but then in all of this, if somebody else come in as governor and decide not to touch any of those infrastructure or pay the staff or maintain them, you find out that you go there next few years and things are falling apart. And that is one thing that we don't do in Nigeria. People don't pay attention to maintenance. I mean, I'm in the UK, and this country, of course, is well civilized and everything. But the idea of making sure everywhere is starred, it's not just to do it and forget about it. They have maintenance companies, especially the council, the local council, which is like equivalent of local governments. Once they see a pothole, they patch it up. And that is the maintenance culture, These things deplete. They sort of, maybe because of rain or because of anything. Nature has a way of, affecting roads and everything. So somebody has to come back there and patch it up and make sure it is smooth. The idea is not to just say, oh, I've spent so and so money on this project, oh, I've tarred this road, and then you forget about it. During rainy season, a lot of water could fall on it and make it, potholes can be on those roads that were built. So we need to have a way of, after delivering a project, we need to sign a contract with another company that will be maintaining them. And you find out that if you are maintaining a road, say for example, which road now has been done? I don't know which road. Maybe Lagos to Ibadan, Federal Road, Lagos to Ibadan Expressway. If we've done them and you say, okay, Julius Berger has delivered this product, we should also engage, maybe not Julius Berger or RCC now, maybe a smaller local company that we have to engage and say, okay, you know what? You're a Nigerian company, you are much local, and probably your cost will be less. Monitor these roads. Wherever you see any pothole, patch it up. And you find out that when you start patching them up, when they are smaller, it is much better and more easier to manage than when you allow it to sort of get bigger before you now start to look at it as a bigger major work. Because the thing with potholes is that they start small and then they keep expanding. And before you know it, it becomes more cost to sort of patch them up. But when they start small and you quickly go there and patch it up, then you find out that the road lasts longer. So that one said, it's very important we understand and we practice maintenance culture, not just for roads, but for anything. Any project that government has established is supposed to have a contract that says these particular people will be monitoring this building. For example, this primary school have been delivered. Now, this primary school that you've built, of course, after some years, you might need the repainting, or you might need to, somebody to look at the roof, because some of the building materials we use in Nigeria, some of them are not of great quality. Some of the materials we use don't last so well, because even in the UK, of course, when there's heavy rain and nature affects things and chemicals take its course on things, before you know it, things will start degrading. And however fast or quick or whatever, we need to have a maintenance culture for all infrastructure, for all major projects. I like what Fashara is doing. Well, I wouldn't say I like, because I know they are spending a lot of money on them. But it is a good thing what he's doing on the mainland, on the third mainland bridge. They've been maintaining that bridge, because if you don't maintain that bridge was built during the colonial days. If you don't maintain that bridge, we get to a point it will collapse. So maintenance culture is very important, And there's always lifespan for everything. So every engineer that builds something will tell you, okay, this building, I can guarantee it in the next 20, 30 years is going to be solid. So you could excuse me. So you could have a bridge delivered this year, like the second Niger bridge, and they will tell you for the next 10 years it doesn't need any maintenance, it's solid, okay? But then after that 10 years, you need to employ them back to sort of come and look at the bridge, see what needs to be changed, if there's a bearing that needs to be changed, or an installation that needs to be changed or reworked, then they let them do that. If we have habits of doing these maintenances, we find out that we will not get into a situation whereby the stuff collapses. And then we look at how many buildings have been collapsing. This is not down to government anyway, but then in a way it could be because the government are doing little in terms of oversight, checking all these materials that people are buying from the market. The cement, we don't know whether the cement are part of the problem, or maybe the engineers are not mixing the number of bags they're supposed to mix, because there's one too many buildings that are collapsing, and sometimes people are killed, other times a lot of people are injured. So we need to have a standardized engineering procedure for buildings, and make sure nobody falters in terms of what is needed in terms of material, or standardized way of mixing cements, to make sure people don't have collapsed building. And I believe whoever is doing the project will rather do something that will last a test of time, rather than building something and then the next thing is collapsed. So these are the things. But out of all the infrastructure that has been invested in heavily by the APC, I think they have not done really well in the key one. What we need essentially in terms of infrastructure in Nigeria is power. Power is the single most important thing that we need to get Nigerians where they are. And there are various ways of generating power. There is hydroelectricity, which comes from water. There is wind power, which comes from wind technology. There is nuclear reactor, which is quite. Of course, there is regulations in terms of the world. But then we need to do whatever is needed to have this, because there is no way, and nobody in the world will say no to Nigeria if they want to have nuclear reactors. Nobody will say no, because they know that we need power. But then the government should be ready to invest in this. So whereas Buhari has spent 63 trillion, which is the highest any government have actually spent, we don't see exactly what they have done. Apart from the normal roads and flyovers and maintenances of Third Mainland Bridge and Third Mainland Bridge, I don't see exactly what they've spent the money on. Yes, a new airport was built in Lagos and everything. But these things are good projects, don't get me wrong. But what we need is power. All we need is power. There is so many collapse. Even the Gencos are saying that it's not their fault. They are generating more, but then there is low infrastructure in terms of distribution. So you need the transformers. For every new building or estate, they're supposed to have more transformers. They're supposed to be wired up to the grid, and they're supposed to be generated. They're supposed to generate more. In the UK here, they have estates that are built up, yes, and when they build up these estates, sometimes they build solar, massive land, build solar energy there, and then connect it to the estate, so you don't need to add any other load on the existing power supply grid and stuff like that. So we need to have look into different technologies when it comes to power, because we're such a large country. In terms of land mass, we are big. In terms of numbers, we are big. And the way we build houses is quite a lot. A lot of individual houses are going up. And as well as, other major projects, schools, universities, name them. So all these things will depend on power, will draw a lot of power. So we need to invest in power infrastructure. But then as we are doing that, one would say it's impossible to have 24-hour electricity. It's not because we have to employ different types of electricity generation. You might come into a small village and you see that, of course, they are a bit further from the next city, and you can just build solar energy for them, and that solar energy will probably charge itself. Yes, it's expensive, but these are things that can last, because Nigeria has a lot of sun. Nigeria have a lot of sunlight, so we could use that for some villages, some communities. There are places you have big multinationals like Shell and all the rest, and Port Harcourt and all the rest. They generate electricity for themselves, for their plants and everything, so they can give the communities power, which I think they are doing actually. So we need to look into it, and Peter Obi said he's going to declare emergency. If he wins on electricity, we need to have hydroelectricity. Individual engineers can build dams. Dams are very, I wouldn't say easy to build, but you can build small dams in rivers. There's rivers all across. Any place that have a river or has a little water, you can build dams, and those dams can help those little villages or little cities. Everything must not be centralized on the main power grid of the country. So we should be able to sort of generate power on all these levels. Wind electricity again is wind power supply as well is very important, and then we should have one or two nuclear reactors to generate power. Being the most populous black nation, the demand is going to be high. The demand is high. We have major mega cities, Kano, Lagos, Port Harcourt, Onitsha. These are places where there's a high population of people. So we need to look at how to power these cities, and it's very important that we look at all these types of energy generation. And as well as that, we can make it a law. If you are building an estate, you have to buy transformer for that estate. If you are building even a massive estate, you have to look at building a dam so that they don't become an extra burden on the existing infrastructure. And again, we don't allow things to die before we start maintaining them. For every system, there should be a maintenance culture. We should employ, like they said in this 2023 budget, there is no capital expenditure. Now, what we should be doing is to have many maintenance companies going out there to look at existing government infrastructures, maintain them. When we maintain things that we have already, find out that things are going to be better. Things are going to be stronger. Look at all the transformers, look at all the wiring, see things that are redundant, take it away, see things we can improve. Look at all the roads, maintain them. If the roads that are built are maintained already, then we know at least we are doing something right in one aspect. Sometimes you look at some roads, they are good from here to here, then they are bad from here to here, and then they are good again from another point to the other. So we need to make sure that any road that we have is good completely, and somebody has to be maintaining it. If you have an issue in a particular section, you raise it with the local government in that particular area. The local government are supposed to be the ones who are maintaining those roads. So every road will be under a local government. The local government should be able to call the maintenance companies to maintain those roads. Call the maintenance company to even if it's federal road, for every completed project and handed over, to the people, we should let the state know that if any pothole is seen on this particular project, because it's already completed, you will manage the maintenance of those roads. These are things we need to do for us to have an infrastructure that will last, the test of time. But like we said, thumbs up to those who have built the bridge on the Benue that's connecting Nasarawa to local. And also other major projects like this, the new airport in Lagos. All those things are welcome development. But for any government that Nigerians will really appreciate is any government that come in and do the needful in terms of providing power. Power is the biggest infrastructure we need. Roads are good as well as power. But then what I think for our roads is maintenance. Let us maintain all the different potholes on roads that are already built, maybe from years ago, 10, 20 years or recently. We need to maintain those roads. And that way we will know that we are getting somewhere. If people know that roads are maintained, it will help. It will help. And then when we have money to sort of build new infrastructure, then people will be happy that after building that one also, it will be maintained. Try to make these videos short on popular demand and opinions. So I'm going to stop here. Thank you so much for always watching. Those who are watching on Instagram, I'm also on YouTube. You could watch on YouTube, like, comment, share to encourage me if you like what I'm doing. And then if you have any suggestion, let me know. Subscribe to my channel as well to help me understand if you're interested. So I'm going to stop here, and hopefully one day we'll get a better Nigeria with all this infrastructure and our maintenance culture will be where it should be, so we can enjoy a better country. Thank you so much, and God bless you.